O'Neill, 2 L's. I serve the SGC under a General Hammond.
We're explorers. You see, we're from another planet.
The unstable vortex of a forming wormhole. Kawoosh.
Indeed.
Hello everybody, welcome back to yet another episode of the Kawoosh podcast. I'm your host Arne. I am joined as always by my co-host.
Me, hi, I'm Evie.
And we are at the double episode Tok'ra. And we're only gonna cover part 1 today. And we're gonna cover part 2 next week.
But first, before we get into that, that's a really nice shirt. Arne, where did you get that?
Yes, I've got this from my wife at Christmas. Along with 2 others, so I'm stocked on alien shirts again for the RPG. But yes, today we're talking about Stargate. SG1 to be more precise.
Do they have t-shirts for that?
They might.
I don't think I've ever seen a Stargate t-shirt.
Another mission for you. To go online and find shirts for the show.
And stop derailing you when you're trying to get the episode started. Okay, I'll share that.
So we open up the episode with a recap of what happened when Jolinar took over Sam in the line of duty, and also some moments from the episode Secrets with Sam's father.
And I, normally when we get a recap, we hear previously on, and we didn't hear a previously on this time. And I wonder if it's a DVD mishap or if they just forgot to tape it.
But I think this is the first time we've had a really recap.
No, we had one. And then Teal'c was the one who said previously on Stargate, because I made a note of it.
And that's that was the beginning of the season with...
I think, because they normally switch around. It's somebody else, and I always like it when Teal'c does it, because he has this very dramatic...
Yeah, he has a good voice
He
for
could
it.
do trailers. Like, I feel like Christopher Judge should just do trailer voices. Again, stop making me segue. But... yeah.
And then we cut to a battle going on in some kind of alien hallway, and it is from the perspective of, we find out, Jolinar. The Tok'ra are being attacked by Goa'uld, probably, because we see laser blasts going by.
We also see Jafar running around.
Ah, yeah. But
Did you miss those?
It's a bit distorted. I was typing. I miss a lot of visual cues when I'm typing. And we see him being approached by somebody who tells him he needs to go to the Stargate and he needs to go now. Well, it says Chappa I believe. We don't know yet who this is, but we will find out later on in the episode. So Jolinar goes to the Stargate, and we see him, or we see from the eyes, we see...
It's a first-person flashback.
Yeah, we see the gate being dialed, so we see the address, and then right before the camera goes through the Stargate, it looks to the left, and there's some shiny surface, and we see a reveal that it is Sam. And then
in a very nice getup.
Yeah, and then she jolts awake at the SGC, and she tells General Hammond, I think I found something.
Yeah, and there's all these little brain nap thingies. Napping.
She has these sensors on her head.
Sensors.
Yeah.
Sensors. That's the word I was looking for.
And then we cut to the opening credits.
So basically, she found a gate address.
Yes, she found a gate address that will lead to the Tok'ra, or at least that's what I think. When we get back from the opening credits, we are in the briefing room, so Sam tries to convince everyone that it was a real memory and not a dream. Teal'c says that the Goa'uld, or at least the symbiont, intermingle with the host, so it is possible. Then Daniel wants to make sure that the Tok'ra are not the enemy, since in what Sam described, their eyes glowed. And then Teal'c tells them that, according to Jaffa legend, the Tok'ra were the Goa'uld resistance, and they're fighting the Goa'uld system lords.
Which technically they already knew, but they're repeating this for our sake, in case we forgot.
Repeating a lot of information in the scene.
But not too cumbersome. I mean,
No, it's very natural. It flows. Yeah. It's a natural conversation, but it is information we've heard before, or at least parts of it already. So yeah, in the end, they want to mount a mission to check out the gate address that Sam saw in the memory, because she says that if they get found out, they will probably move again and they will never find them.
What I really like about this scene is Sam is really going on blind faith here, almost. And she's a scientist, and she very rarely does that. Because she literally says, it's just a feeling that I know that they're gonna be, the good guys. And there's not really any evidence for it. It's more of something that she alone knows. But I still felt like it was a nice change, because normally Sam has to be able to see something and touch something and know that it's real.
Yeah, but also does believe in herself.
Well,
so
yeah, but
and here we can really feel that because she believes that what she saw is real.
But for me, it really underlines how important this is to her and how much she does believe in it.
Yeah. And the others are wary, but of course they do realize that they're gonna need some help in the resistance or in the fight with the Goa'uld. So another race like the Tok'ra would be a great benefit. So they go and prep, and while they're walking towards the gate room, Sam quickly jumps away and goes to the control room, and she calls her dad.
You see, back in the day, we didn't have cell phones yet, so if you wanted to place a call, you had to find a landline. This was a phone. I'll shut up now.
The base is also deep underground, so
yeah,
even
you
with
probably
cell phones,
would
this
not.
would still work the way it does.
Otherwise, you could have an app to dial the Stargate.
I believe they have some kind of remote device in Universe they used to do that. But anyway,
I'm pretty sure it would be an app in today's day and age.
So yeah, we only see her side of the conversation, and it sounds like he's not really happy that she's checking in.
Her dad,
yeah. And she tells him that she'll be away for a while, and she doesn't really know when she's coming back. And then near the end of the phone call, when she puts down the phone, it's apparent that she got some bad news there at the end.
Yeah, and also Hammond has been watching her.
Yeah, that was the next thing on my description. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. So yeah, Hammond was watching, so he approaches her when she's trying to leave, and he asks how Jacob is doing. Apparently, he also knew that Jacob, and this is one of the things she found out in the phone call, he has an apartment in town because, as Hammond puts it, he wanted to be closer to Sam near the end of his life.
Yeah.
And Hammond also told her that she can stay if she wants to, she can be replaced, but she is pretty convinced she'll be important on this mission since she's the one with the memories of Jolinar. She's also sure her dad does not want her to see him losing a battle against cancer. And then Hammond tells her she's more like her dad than she would probably like to admit.
The emotional arc in this entire episode, but I wrote it down here first, is really on point. Like, everyone is so, well, for starters, they're all very much in character. Mm-hmm. They're very, and all the emotional arcs really work very well.
Also, this is a small shout out to Don Davies. General Hammond is really good in this episode. He gets a lot to do here, some really emotional stuff. I really like him. Like, he's here. That's the Hammond I remember mostly of the series.
Yeah, we're finally getting to see, the fleshed out Hammond, as it were.
Like, he has a life outside. He knows Sam's father. You can really feel it in the snippets of dialogue we have.
Yeah, these are two people that know each other for a really long time, which is not an easy feat to do as an actor. Like, hi, here's your co-actor. You only just met, but you've known each other all your lives. Okay, go. And then you just have to sell that. Meanwhile, on the planet.
They arrive on some sort of desert planet, and there are no tracks around the Stargate in any direction.
Which, I mean, the DHD was half buried in sand. It does look like the sort of planet, like a storm will blow by every evening, and then it just wipes everything clean. So for them to go like, there's no trace anywhere, it's sand.
No, but they point this out, like, there hasn't been any movement recently because the desert will, of course, cover all tracks. But that's what they mean, like, there has been nobody here at the Stargate recently. Jack at this point mentions, like, where's a yellow brick road when you need it? So another Wizard of Oz reference.
And that made me wonder, because Teal'c gives a little bit like a reaction that makes me wonder, did Jack at some point sit Teal'c down and say, we're gonna watch this movie? And did Teal'c just not understand anything of what was going on?
But Teal'c gets this whole arc of him being looking up pop culture. He becomes a big Star Wars fan at one point.
I know, but there's Teal'c looking stuff up, and then there's Jack going like, Teal'c, you have to see this movie.
Which is probably what happened.
Yeah, probably. Wait, does that mean they went to see Wicked as a team?
Who knows? Yeah. So yeah, at this point they just, I don't know, start wandering the desert, and Teal'c tells them that the Tok'ra are very stealthy. And at that point, a number of them jump out of the sand and surround them.
Which was very well done. It was very well done.
Yeah, it was actually very well done.
Because you didn't see any of them. It's not like in the video game where you can see, like, or like in animation
Little
movies where
humps.
you can see, like, there's stuff gonna move.
So the leader of the group tells them they do not want to harm them. And one of them identifies Teal'c as, look out, he's a Jaffa. And it is the same person we saw in Jolinar's memory. And then Sam calls them Gwald, probably because of the voice and stuff. And this angers them, so they get a reaction out of that. A quick side visit to Earth where Hammond gets a call from Jacob and he tells him he'll be right there and he rushes out. So, on the planet, Sam recognizes the guy and she calls him Martouf, or he introduces himself as Martouf, and she tells him that she knew Jolinar and they are looking for the Tok'ra. And Teal'c says that if they are the Tok'ra, they should form an alliance. Sam is indeed convinced that these are the Tok'ra and that she knew Jolinar enough that they would make good friends. And this kind of convinces Martouf at least to hear him out at this point.
Yeah, well, I do wonder though, because the Tok'ra are like, we're not the Tok'ra. Who told you we're the Tok'ra? We're not gonna neither confirm nor deny anything. But they still keep talking with these Goa'uld voices and they're dressed in ways that no Goa'uld would ever dress. So I'm like, is this like just a resistance group that is fooling nobody unless they're infiltrating and wearing, I don't think they have this happen a lot, that people just wander onto their planet and be like, you're a Tok'ra, what? No, who told you, huh? Like, they're just a little caught off guard.
At this point, the Tok'ra lower their weapons and Jack tells them, take me to your leader. But they must leave their weapons, which of course Jack opposes, but the rest of the team tells him that they can be trusted. So he reluctantly agrees in the spirit of future relations. And then Martouf tells them to stand a little bit closer together and rings appear out of the ground and they transport them underground in some sort of crystalline tunnel.
Which we recognize
from the opening, and Sam recognizes it too, but she says this is a different planet than my memory. And Teal'c says, according to legend, Tok'ra have the technology to grow tunnels wherever they go. So we cut back to Hammond, who arrives at the hospital and he finds Jacob in a room. He's not doing well. And Hammond at this point wants to recall Carter, but Jacob stops him. He says he doesn't want her to see him lose a battle. And Hammond says that is exactly what she said you would say. Jacob says that she's on an important mission and they should leave her there. But he would like to know what Sam is doing that is so important.
Yeah, he tries to trick Hammond.
Yeah.
Like, you can do one thing for me. It's like, anything except that, because Jacob tries to trick him. Which...
Yeah, so he apologizes like, no, I cannot tell you that.
Can I just say again, we already said that they're killing it. Like, the two of these, they're absolutely killing it. What I also like is, so far, this show is surprisingly low in toxic masculinity. They're in the military, but they're being totally vulnerable, and even like Teal'c and Jack have these moments all the time, but here too it's
some of the others as well.
He's not trying to be all like tough, or like they're just being honest and open with each other.
I think the only macho stuff we had in the military was actually in the very, very first episode in the pilot, when we had Kowalski and they were like joking around and being a bit macho.
Okay, but that's
even
more
then,
just...
when the series started properly and we had the episode where Kowalski was taken over by a Goa'uld, he was actually very different and he showed a lot of emotion. So I think they scaled it back a lot. Anyway, meanwhile, the SG-1 team is brought before someone from the Grand Council, and she identifies as Garshaw of Belot. And Teal'c knows this name because she's the most hunted Goa'uld of all time.
I loved it because he goes all like, oh, he literally is fanboying, which is such a good way to show how important it is, because Teal'c very rarely is so impressed with stuff. Like, he will, like, he like, it's like he's meeting,
But
his
for
favorite
him,
K-pop
for him,
team or
these
something.
are
Yeah.
his heroes because they
Yeah.
do what he wants to do. They fight the gold.
Yeah, but he never phones it in.
No.
He doesn't have to go this hard. But like just his
Exactly.
facial expressions, he has no lines. He's standing in the background. He's like, like it's just reacting
Yeah,
to
he
everything.
really reacts in the
Yeah.
background before he says like, "Are you Gresham?"
Like Jack. Can I have your autograph? Just like it's
Jack, she's really important.
like Jack. Like yes, stop it.
She also tells them that they do not like to be referred to as being gold, and she asks them if they are from the first world, the Tauri, and she wants to know if they are the ones who got rid of Ra. So in a way, they are also Tok'ra. Apparently, Tok'ra is almost literally just rebels or something.
Yeah, against Ra is
Yeah.
what Daniel jumps in and translates rapidly. He's like, of course, like Daniel,
Yeah.
sit down. Like, he's like the kids, like teacher, I know the answer. Like nobody asked.
And she wants to know how Jolinar fits into them coming here. Martouf steps in at this point after he hears the story about that Jolinar's host was actually killed. Then we, of course, do a quick cut back to Earth where Jacob is flatlining and they start defibrillating him and they bring him back. All this while Hammond is watching on. And the doctor leaves and gets stopped by Hammond, who asks how long does he have.
This is where we paused it because Arne went, I know that doctor from somewhere. And of course he did, because he's Canadian. And it
Yeah.
turns out he's in everything.
He's one of those
Like-
Canadian working actors who shows up in everything. Like we went through the list and like I saw that series, I saw that series, I saw that
Yeah.
movie. So like we probably saw him in those.
Yeah.
He's not a big name or something, but he's like one of those.
I mean,
working
if you're
actors.
consistently invited to all these projects, then you're a good actor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, he has quite a big resume. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
kudos
knew
to
him
you.
from somewhere. So yeah, and he says, Hammond, that it could be 5 days or it could be 5 minutes. So he suggests that if there's any family, they should be here as soon as possible. And then we cut back to Sam, who has been telling them the whole story. And they ask if they are to understand that Sam did not consent to Jolinar taking her over, which is a very big thing among the Tok'ra. They only take willing hosts. So they also wonder, are you responsible for his death? And are you to be trusted? But Jack turns that around on them since, like he said, you're basically gold. Your eyes glow and you talk funny the way you do.
Jack.
Yeah, but...
He has a point, but also stereotypes, Jack.
Yeah,
Ugh.
but
Yeah.
he's also brutally honest. Like, he doesn't like to be put on the spot, and he turns it around pretty well on them. Like don't treat us as the hostiles. You also have something that we could interpret differently. So the Tok'ra tell them that they have a truly symbiotic relationship. And then Daniel wants to know, why would any human volunteer for that? And at that point, Garshaw changes her demeanor and the voice changes and we hear the host speak. And she tells them she gets all of the knowledge of the symbiont and of course the lifespan double. So there's a lot of
Perks.
perks, yeah. And they take the team to another room where we see Salmak, a wise old leader who is ill. Salmak is 203 human years old, but she is at this point dying because, quick summary, they start talking about all this. They don't use the sarcophagus. So when the human host dies, either the Goa'uld dies with them or they look for a new host who is willing to take them. And they do die even though they live a longer life than normal humans. So they offer the team a chance to become the host of Salmak, but they all refuse, and Sam actually is really disturbed by this because she says, like, I already went through it, and she walks off. Martouf follows her, and then the rest follow along, and they're a bit confused. They say, why would you come here if you don't want to be hosts? Because for them, that's what an alliance is.
Miscommunication.
Yeah, SG-1 says, no, we want to fight together with you against the Goa'uld. But Tok'ra says, you are not advanced enough for us. You don't really have anything to offer. Teal'c says that they destroyed two motherships, which angers Garshal for a moment since they had operatives on those ships and they were killed along with the rest. But it does convince them that the Tauri might be useful, so they tell them we will convene the council. And then Martouf asks Sam if she wants to join him on a walk, because he wants to talk about Jolinar. And Jack isn't too keen on it. He wants them back by 11.
I love how Jack, whenever he's like, he hides behind humor to cope with situations.
Yeah.
And like take like it's just a little bit of control back in situations like these.
Yeah, because he's clearly out of his element here.
Yeah.
And he's also
But
very protective again.
But he does go along with all of it because this was Sam's idea, and he asked her, "Are you sure?" And he puts enough trust in her to know that, Anyway, where am my notes? Here, aha, the walk on the sand.
They go walk in the dunes, and Martouf tells Sam that Jolinar was actually a she. Well, the Gwaul don't really have a gender, he tells her, but Jolinar always chose female hosts.
Queer representation for the win!
Yep.
Yay!
Yeah. Sam tells him that when they found Jolinar, he was in a male host, but Martouf says she was probably hiding from the hunter that we saw in that specific episode. Then at some point, Martouf gets very quiet, and Sam asks if he's okay. And at this point, the symbiont takes over because Martouf did have his normal voice all the way until this point. The symbiont starts speaking. He identifies as Lantash, and he tells Sam that Jolinar was his mate for hundreds of years. And then Martouf comes back and he tells her that they both feel, so the host and the symbiont both feel love and grief, and they share it all. So it's
because
hard on him.
Sam literally says, "Whose mate are you?" And they're like, "Oh, we were both mates of each other." And I'm like, and then I wrote down polyamorous representation for the win because yay! I love how we got almost no queer rep, and then all of a sudden the Tok'ra are like, "We got you, boo!" Like, let me just throw some stuff at you real quick. Like, oh yay!
And then Sam gets curious and asks what Jolinar's host was like, and Martouf starts telling her. And the way he talks about her and his face, like he clearly loved her. Apparently she was called Rosha, and she also looked like Sam. And then he says, "You would be a good host for Selmac." But this shocks Sam. She's having trouble with it because she tells him like she has all the remnants of Jolinar inside her. She's not ready for yet another to share her mind with.
But like, to be fair, he immediately apologizes and he explains like, "I guess I'm just trying to, keep whatever I can of, you're the last remnant
he means
of..."
well.
And I love that they take time to, like, this entire episode.
This is a really long scene.
It's a really long scene, but it's needed. You need this time because you need Sam gets upset and they have this silent moment where there's a really beautiful shot through the Stargate where you see both of them, and then he apologizes and he explains, and it's really like it's a very
there's a lot of back and forth. It's quite actually it's an emotional roller coaster. This whole scene goes everywhere.
Yeah, and this entire episode, it never feels rushed, but it does feel like this is the first time that I'm like, okay, this really does need to be a two-parter because you have all these beats and emotional stuff that needs to breathe.
There's a lot of setup going on here, but you do really need it. Sam tells him that she feels like a schizophrenic. He doesn't really know the word, so she explains it. And she says she feels pretty strong feelings for Martouf. Feelings from Jolinar, a love of hundreds of years inside her, and she feels it too, and it confuses her, and she can't really describe it with words. So Martouf asks, can you maybe show it or express it in another way? And they touch hands.
And I almost felt like, is this where they're going to do a Vulcan mind meld thing? Because it kind of felt like that's what
they intertwine
it. But it was a really nice moment. And then Daniel has to ruin it because he runs up and he's all like, "Are you getting to know each other very well?" And I'm like, "Daniel, you do not get to be sassy, mister. I somehow end up with a girlfriend on every planet. Like, that is not something you get to do. Sam is at least single. Like, back off, dude." Like, what was that about?
Yeah, but he comes there to tell her that the Tok'ra have agreed for the council meeting, and so they come and get her. Then SG-1 gets led through the tunnels, and Teal'c wants to know if it's true that they can grow their own tunnels, which they do, and they have crystals that they bring with them, and they grow into whatever they can see. So all the hallways are that crystal.
It's one hallway. They have one hallway.
I know.
They're constantly walking the same hallway.
And Jack sees a guy being suspicious.
Suspicious.
Yeah.
Don't be suspicious.
It's the guy that caught them in the beginning of the episode, and he follows him. And the guy walks up to a shrine, and he opens up a little case, and there's a ball inside, like a miniature version of the big one we see, where
It's
the
it's
floating
a portable
TV ball.
Yeah, the TV ball. So they don't have cell phones, but they do have floating balls.
But before he does anything, he notices Jack, and he asks, "Why are you in my private quarters?" Jack goes like, "They're not really that private, but apparently they're very open people."
Like, oh yeah, we don't have doors. Like, okay, well then you can't really blame Jack for wandering in after you.
Jack actually really does some really good bullshitting at this point.
Yeah.
Like he sells it, and then the guy says, "Let me bring you back to the rest of them." Jack says he can find his way back.
That's because there are also only one hallway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He finds them again, and they are actually watching one of the hallways being grown, and it's actually pretty well done. It's a really cool shot of the crystals.
Obviously CGI, but it holds up.
But,
yeah.
And then they walk into the council chamber, and apparently it's also recently grown because they didn't need to convene the council before actually this point. So they can do it really quickly, is what they're telling us here. Then the rest of the council enter, and they
they are a very diverse cast.
Yeah.
They are very diverse, which I really liked.
And we do have a lot of female speaking roles in this one, actually.
Also, yeah.
The Tok'ra are not really convinced what use the Tari can be, and if and they're also unsure if the Tok'ra secrets are safe with them.
Which is valid, and also the way they say it, like, we don't think you can be of assistance to us because a lot of what they do is infiltration, and that's not the way that the Tari are fighting right now.
Exactly, they're not doing open battle against the Quo.
So I can totally understand how it's more, the risk would outweigh the benefits at this point in time.
And then
the guy that I'm suspicious of, the guy that I think is the spy, says like, we could all be spies. I'm like, yeah, okay, you just stamped spy on your forehead, dude.
Yeah, and they want to know what they can offer the Tok'ra. And then Martouf suddenly enters, and he whispers something in the ear of I'm lost for her name because I didn't write it down. Apparently SG3 just arrived through the Stargate, and they're being brought in. And they came to extract Captain Carter, since her father is very ill and she needs to be by his side. But the Tok'ra can't let them leave. They have decided not to form an alliance with them, and they can't let them go before they relocate to a new planet. And they can't let Carter leave, especially because they said, like, maybe you can just leave, let Carter leave. But she is the highest risk because she carries the memories of Jolinar. Then Jack goes like, yeah, but back on Earth they also know of this planet. Evidence being SG1 just walked in here. But the plan is apparently to convince Earth that everyone is dead and that they walked into a gold trap. A trap, so they're not going to be followed. And they will try to make them as comfortable as possible, but they are basically prisoners at this point.
Which did make me wonder, like, but they probably radioed in to say, like, hey, we met with the Tok'ra, everything's going well so far, yada, yada, yada.
I'm not sure if they had the time to radio back, because otherwise they wouldn't have sent...
Did they take their radios?
We see when they hand over their weapons, they actually take off all their gear, their vests and everything. So, and since they're on the ground, maybe they can't reach. So I don't think they radioed back. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent SG3.
Okay, I get at this point why the Tok'ra are, suspicious, and why they say, like, we can't just let you go. But with the speed with which they build a different base, they could just as easily say, like, we're going to toss you all back through the Stargate and we're going to relocate. Like, it feels... But we do, of course, need this little bit of a moment.
Yeah, because this is the cliffhanger of the episode. This is the end.
And we all know how it's going to go. I mean, we already saw it, but,
Way back when.
Yeah, because the whole point is, like, they have trouble finding new hosts because, it has to be voluntary and, you're a secret organization, so you can't really go handing out pamphlets.
Exactly. And we all know that the solution will be that Jacob comes in and
And I do
becomes the
think,
host.
if I remember correctly, that they do agree that, hey, you know, we have a lot of people here on this planet. There may be people here that, you know, want to be hosts for you. We have a bigger, you know, supply to ask this question of, like,
Exactly.
stuff.
But that will be for next week. But overall, I think this is a strong episode.
yeah.
Even for a two-parter, because first episodes of two-parters can really be a drag because you're building
Yeah.
up to something, but you can't really go there yet. But this fixes it by focusing on Jolinar, on the Martouf, and really giving Sam something to do.
Yeah, and it's not like it's a big, huge surprise where they're leading up to. Like, Jacob is sick, and they have a sick person, and of course it's gonna go the way it's gonna go. But it's still interesting to see how it's gonna get there, because, as you said, it's a very emotional, very well written, and I love how Sam gets things to do. And yes, there is love involved again, but it didn't bother
not-
me this
it's
much.
not openly.
No, it didn't bother me this much this time, because it's not really real. It's like she says it
She
herself, like
has
it's
these
a
memories,
memory,
yeah.
it's an imprint, and they are talking about it like adults. Like, he doesn't expect anything of her. He, like, oversteps slightly and then immediately backs up and
I was
apologizes.
scared for a moment that they were
Yeah.
gonna kiss, but then they did the hand thing,
Yeah.
and it was a
It
really
worked well.
clean solution
It
for
was
this.
a very
Yeah, they
And
could have easily went the wrong way with that.
yeah, but it works really well. Like,
So yeah, I'm looking forward to part two, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be as solid as this one. Or at least I hope it's gonna be as solid
I
as this
remember
one.
being happy with how that turned out.
Yeah,
I was always a big fan of, like, those instances, like, blah 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 blah. Like, this is a very symbiotic relationship, and something similar is in Star Trek with the.
the Trill.
Thank you. Yes, Dax.
Yeah,
I always like that kind of.
and I do remember that, and that's what's actually really cool about this concept is that him being from Earth, being a new kind of race that they interact with, is gonna bring some change. He's gonna bring change to the Tok'ra.
I mean,
and at points he will just leave the Tok'ra and come back to Earth for stuff, and the other way around. Like, there's also moments he goes like, no, I have to. Well, he has to stay with the Tok'ra because they can't keep paying the actor. But, like, they do more than just fix this little thing, and they really use this as a stepping stone for stuff they can do in the future with the character and the Tok'ra on the whole. So yeah, looking forward to next week's episode. So
Yeah, I hope we can film that before you have to leave.
yes, I will have to leave soon. No,
We'll be back.
I'll be back. We've had a good head start already, but yeah, next week for you, Tok'ra Part 2 will be watched by us, and I hope some of you at home will do the same thing. I have no idea if there's people that are rewatching it with us. You might leave a comment if you do. And yeah,
You might leave a comment where you know the Canadian doctor from.
and we will see each other or hear each other next week for Tok'ra Part 2. Bye!